Looks like we just clicked live here, so as I do every week, like to welcome those in attendance and watching. This is our fourth week here of construction meetings, and just like to welcome everyone. So just a few updates. The first being the water main work last week, Thursday night. Following our meeting, we had said that we were going to be looking at that a little closer, and with the understanding of the businesses and stuff there, we came to the resolution that an overnight shutdown was probably the most or best suited for that block of Bush Street. And so we took the steps in place and scheduled that for Thursday evening. And it made a lot of sense to make both connections, both south side and north side. That's what resulted in the work carrying a little bit longer into the overnight than what our notices originally communicated there being midnight. So appreciate the patience, understanding. I think it went well, as night work always adds another degree of challenge there with it being dark out and things. So appreciate Myers working with us on that and everyone's understanding. Go ahead, Patty.
Yeah, just want to say we really appreciate that. The businesses were very thankful that they did not have to come a whole day last time. It worked well, and I even talked to several of the residents that were peering out the windows and watching them as well. And they said it actually went just fine.
Good deal.
Thank you for doing that.
Yep. Patty was just saying that the businesses were appreciative of that, as the residents were with that nighttime shutdown. And it was good to Meyer. We worked with Meyer. We thought, this makes sense. We'll rent some light plants for the evening so they could do that work. And they worked with us to have their guys come in and get that done overnight, and it helped a lot. And also with our inspectors and our city staff that showed up, I think it was just the right decision, and we appreciate that the businesses thought so as well. So good.
Awesome. And then other updates, got that PED signing in place, the business signing. That went up late last week as well, and hopefully we're getting some positive feedback on that as well from Patty and the folks here at the chamber. So I'm glad to hear that, and think it helps add a little extra for those folks that are coming to do their business to understand where they're heading. So appreciate all the efforts on that. And then I know last week we had made a mention about the traffic control and the shifting. We'll always update best we can here with the schedule as far as what we expect for intersection changes. I think this summer, a little bit more than last summer, the changes, and what I'm referring to mostly is when we make a switch between Bush and Plum. I think it's going to be a little bit more significant this summer. And so we'll always try to update best we can here at this meeting, but as we find generally the minute we leave this meeting, things start to change already, and that's just how it works. So in regards to the intersections, we're expecting to make a switch to close Plum and open Bush next week, targeting right now mid next week, and that could slip, like I said, however it fits. But what we will do is we'll update the turning movement map, and then I think we would do an email blast a day ahead of that, just to further solidify when folks can expect that. It's kind of a more solid heads up than just this once a week update. So we're looking at it. It's looking like it's going to be next week. And like I said, we'll give a little better target once we know more. But that would be a big traffic control change there. So I think those were some of the big items. Ryan's is absent today on vacation, so we got Scott here, the assistant project manager with Meyer. And so I think I'll turn it over to Scott, and he can give us kind of a schedule update and what to expect here going forward. So,
all right, thanks, Corey. Well, schedule update will be pretty quick here. We have the water run up to Bush, so in the next couple of weeks we'll be continuing down 61 up to Plum, and also be working on the storm from Bush to Broad. And then really we should have a restoration crew for the road from Broad to Bush starting sometime this week, so that we can, just like Corey said, get the Bush intersection open and close down Plum. So that's really it.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. And going back to that, like we said, through traffic on 61, we're gonna try to maintain the same philosophy used last summer. The through lanes would be a hard surface, all traffic on 61. But then the section between 61 and the project limit on Bush, that would just be temporary surface. That would just be a gravel surface right now. We're considering that to be, the more local traffic, and so that'll be consistent to what it was last summer, just a temporary surface there. It'll be hard, it'll be rocked, and be able to drive it. But just I guess to make a kind of final note on that, and we're still working the project west to east, and so getting Plum open is kind of that next piece then to work this block from Bush to Plum. So, and then just another thing I just wanted to make mention of too that Josh reminded me of. We've communicated that the sidewalks are going to be that last piece of work, but just do be knowing that we'll have to get into the sidewalk a little bit, and we already have, and that's regards to the service work. So in order to connect the sewer and the water services to these individual properties, we've got to make those connections outside the road surface. And so in front of De Leon, you'll notice there that we pulled we're going to limit it as much as we can, just a couple panels of sidewalk, but that's for that service work. We've got mats there now. We'll make sure if those mats are what makes the most sense there. But the intention is to keep that still a walkable surface, still keep that open to pedestrians, but just know we got to impact it in isolated spots. And then they'll stay that way until, of course, we put the permanent sidewalk back. So any concerns with that, go ahead and let us know if something's not working like we think it should. But just know that those are planned, and those will happen sporadically as we continue to work here. So. I don't know if I had anything else, Jay.
Just talking about that switch over from Plum Street to Bush Street. Jeff, do we have what is the spring load restrictions? MnDOT, do you see, when is that coming off, the road restrictions, that we could set up our truck detour?
The latest it could come off is April 25th. I haven't heard with the warmer weather if it's going to come off earlier or not, but the latest it can.
Yeah. The latest would be April 25th, but I was kind of thinking with the weather that okay. 'Cause once we know, then we will set up that truck detour to try to help with what we have in our for the trucks in the downtown area that don't need to be down there. So, okay, you haven't heard anything more than, okay. Corey, have you heard anything on that?
I haven't.
Larry, nothing? Okay.
And Jay raises a real good point. I'll just elaborate real quickly. When we make the switch from closing Plum to opening Bush, we're in a condition that we hadn't planned to be in necessarily. Plum is unique with it being the 63 and the 58 connection to 61. And when we were originally planning this project, it was always the assumption that the truck detour was going to be in place when we were in construction. We're in this unique sequence right now where the truck detour is not quite in place. So we're actually receiving all truck traffic through the project. And Plum Street set up accordingly for that, obviously being a trunk highway intersection with the signal there. It's got provisions with farther setback stop bars and things. Bush Street isn't set up that way yet, and so we have that plan today to look at this a little bit more closely. But there might be some things we have to do a little bit differently than expected to be mindful of those semis that we still have to receive for this. Potentially, if we make the switch next week, it could be another 2 to 3 weeks potentially, depending on these load restrictions. So I just want to put that out there that I'm certainly aware of it, but just a little bit unique with this early start and just another little challenge here that we got to kind of work through. But we'll sign things properly, we'll communicate all that, but just know that just a little extra challenge, I guess, with the understanding that we don't have a truck detour just quite yet.
Yeah.
So. And with that might mean some closing of parking, and we're going to minimize all these things the best we can. But there just might be some little extra steps we have to take, and that might be on Bush Street there to help out with these larger vehicles. But
The goal would be to get Plum Street, get that done, so we can get that back open again, and have that as our route, and also utilize Potter. What was an idea for some of the trucks as well at different phases through construction.
Right. Do you have anything, Ron, that I missed at all, or had you thinking?
Yeah, the only thing I noticed out there, some of the temporary striping is coming up again. Most notably, what I noticed is underneath the 63 bridge where it goes over top of 61, where the yellow line stripes are separating and they're about this far apart and it's bulged out and around. Should probably try to, I know it's wet right now and it's cold and the stuff doesn't adhere until it's 50 degrees and rising, but maybe we even have to cut some of that off there if it gets too lopsided or too wild. During the day it isn't a big deal, but I think at night when people are seeing that with their headlights, it's got to be kind of buggy to look at.
I could go cut that out then too. I noticed it yesterday
Yeah.
too. I drove through and saw the same. I was driving during the day, so like you said, it's not quite as bad, but
Yep.
nighttime you come on that. So
Someone that's
we'll
not
go
expecting-
take it out. I mean, at least I think one of the lines is staying true.
One of them is true, yeah. The southerly side is true. The northerly one is for some reason stretching out and moving around.
Yeah, we can rip that up, and
And
then,
then and get safety signs down as soon as we do get
whenever we
dry.
get
Yeah.
conditions. Yep.
Okay.
Probably, as long as you're doing that, Josh, we could probably look at some of the stuff on the west side too. There's some white tape that's not as critical because the barrels are kind of doing our delineation for us, but we should at least get the tape cleaned up so it's not
Yep.
causing any issues with the traffic.
That was all I had.
All right. Any questions at all for those here in attendance? Go ahead, Marcy.
I have a question. You talked about the sidewalks and having to take out down. Are you able to give notice to people about that, or how is that going to work?
So the question is in regards to the sidewalk removals for the service work. As far as like the immediate property owners, would you say? We certainly could do that. It wouldn't be a big issue there if we're in front of a business to have Josh or Jared buzz in there and just let them know that we're planning to do the work. That the real idea with those services, it's pretty limited. You know, hopefully a few hours backfilling always to get it actually back open. But we can do that, and we'll make note to do that just to make sure people are aware and
Give them even, half a day's notice?
understood. Yep, understood. And then most of the services are located such that we're not closing a front door necessarily. And one of the real benefits to having the business signing being from both ends, we're still, I think, effectively, keeping those businesses open and letting people get there. You just literally can't walk all the way down the block necessarily for that short, few hour window. But we'll make note to do that. It's a good point.
Thank you.
Yep. Go ahead, Patty.
Just a couple other things that have been brought to our attention this week is the pedestrian crossing between St. James Hotel and Riverfront Center, the corporate offices.
Mm-hmm.
They say when they are crossing that street and the light changes at the same time and the construction is right there, the pedestrians are having a really difficult time crossing.
Okay.
So I tried to time it, but I haven't hit it yet. And haven't pursued it much, but you know where I'm talking about.
So you're crossing Bush Street?
Across Bush, they said it's really dangerous at the intersection right at off of St. James, especially coming from Front Center to the St. James.
Okay.
The people are turning right there.
Turning the right
Go
turn.
down to the right of the
Okay.
riverfront parking,
Sure.
and so they're turning, through traffic's going, and the feds are trying to cross all of that.
Understood.
And I don't know.
So Patty, you're saying crossing Bush Street from the St. James to the park there, or to the Riverfront Center.
Right, and like we said, the people who are really noticing are the ones from the offices going over to St. James, so going west. Because that's where people are turning right.
Yep.
And the timing is, the pedestrian light goes on and cars start turning right.
Well, the Bush Street light is green all the time, right now, right? So the pedestrians are walking, there's no stopping for pedestrians, there's no stopping for cars, so that's where the issue, because there's no, it's just a green, yep. To minimize the downtown, to minimize the congestion, there is no reason to have cars stop at Bush Street, because you might as well move them from Plum to Broad, was the idea. But it's the right turners that are going down the hill to kind of, yep.
I don't know what the solution is, but that's the course.
Okay.
And the other thing is the media by the YMCA, during the helping or whatever, it's
Who mentioned that to you? The YMCA?
Actually, the BCD was at that conversation.
Okay.
They were walking the streets and saw people darting in, because people park on the other side. And
Yep.
they're gonna dart across, and you can't see them as you're turning right.
Yep, so the comment here is the median on Broad Street near the YMCA. Jerry, I thought you did talk to the Parks guys to get in there.
No, I don't think they've been there. I can talk to them again. I know they've been kind of busy with some other stuff going on, starting up, so I'll see what they can do.
See
I
if
know
we can get
We don't
that.
have any summer help people here right yet, so,
Yeah,
we'll try to get at that this week.
okay. And then Patty, we'll think about that crossing right there, because that's, and the other one I've heard this week is also crossing Main Street at Plum, because now that's there's so much left turning traffic, that people just don't think that there's pedestrians there anymore, but that's kind of our crossing. We don't have Bush Street anymore, so that's we might have to do some signage or something that, caution pedestrian crossings here or something. But I've heard this, because there's a lot of people from the SHU that are parking in their other parking lots to avoid the construction, even though the ramps are all open, they're parking over by Plant 1 and walking. So that's where I've heard that from a couple people that are parking and walking across. So we'll look at those intersections for PEDs. So, yep. Dan?
I'm not sure who to direct this comment to, whether it's Meyer or the city, but somebody's done a lot of patching on Main Street, and I just want to say that my car and I both think.
Okay. The patching on Main Street, yeah. I think that can be directed to Jerry. So now he's going to move that crew over to trimming some bush.
Very good.
Yeah. Thanks, Jerry. Any other questions or comments or concerns that we should be talking about at our meeting here following up? All right. I've got nothing more to add. Okay. All right. Thank you for coming.